Hi, I'm Greg Campbell with Fortus Pilates. Today I'm going to show you how to fix your headrest if it has become stripped and it's loose on your carriage frame. So this headrest, if you kind of lift it up and you look under, and you'll see this a little bit later in the video, there's 4 screws that are securing it to the carriage board. And because the headrest is supported almost all the way to the back, it's very hard to actually cause this headrest to come loose. But I think what happens sometimes in studio settings is customers will kneel on the far rear of the headrest. And if you put all your weight here on this extreme back position of the headrest, I can see that you could potentially strip some of the screws here. So this video will show you how to deal with that issue. If you have some headrests that are becoming loose in your studio, this will show you how you can go about reinforcing those headrests and protecting it from people misusing them. So the first thing we have to do, what you'll notice is we can't actually really get at these screws very well because the headrest can't come up very far due to the upholstery board blocking it. So the first thing we want to do is let's get the upholstery board off so we actually have some space to work. Okay, so that's a pretty simple process. I've shown this before in other videos, but we'll do it again. Essentially there's 4 bolts. There's one here, and then 2 down at the bottom that are securing the upholstery board. And all we need to do is take those bolts out and the upholstery board will come off. You can use an Allen key for this. I'm going to make it a little bit faster and use an impact gun. It helps if I put it in reverse. Yep, that did help. Okay, so we got one. We'll get the other one. 2. And now I'll flip this over and then we'll get the other one. Okay. So there's the 3rd one. And the 4th one. Okay, so now we can take this upholstery board off and we can put it off to the side. And we'll put our carriage back up onto the reformer frame. Okay, so now we're able to lift this headrest all the way up. That's a little bit better. Now what I'll do is I'll change the camera position so you can see a little bit better how we work on this. Okay, so here's our full 4 screws. And we don't need to work on all of them. What we're ultimately going to do, just to sort of give you the roadmap of where we're going, is we want to replace these screws, which are just screwed into this with normal wood screws. We're going to replace it with a bolt like this that goes all the way through the board and then is secured with a washer and a nut. This will be a much more secure mechanism. It's basically impossible to break this, right? This will prevent this part of the headrest from ever stripping out. It'll be basically impossible for that to strip. This side still potentially, but this side is less prone to stripping just because of the way the force gets distributed. It's this side that tends to let go. So that's what we want to do. So for this particular one, let's replace the 2 outside ones. We'll leave the 2 middle ones just with regular wood screws and we'll replace the 2 outside ones. So the first thing to do, since we're replacing them, is let's go ahead and unscrew them. These were most definitely not stripped. They're very secure. Okay. So there's one, and that gives you a sense of what these screws are, right? They're just screwed into that wood. I'll get the other one off. There we go. Okay, so there's the other one off. So now what we need to do is we actually need to enlarge the holes, and we need to make them go all the way through the carriage. Okay, there's nothing underneath of them that's going to be harmed. So what you'll want to do is grab your drill, and I've got an 11/64 drill bit on there, but basically you just want a bit that's slightly wider than the bolt that you're using. Okay, and if we send you the bolts, about 11/64 works pretty well. It'll go pretty easy because we already have essentially holes that we're just enlarging. Well, I just screw that one all the way through. Screw that one all the way through. Okay, so now what I'll do is, and I don't need the washer on the top of the bolt because it's already going to be supported by the metal bracket. So that goes and sits just like that. And then underneath, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my washer and my nut on. So what I'll do is I'll flip this carriage up, and then you can see how we secure this properly. Okay, so here are my 2 bolts that have gone through, and I just need to clean up a little bit the wood. Like the drill will rip out a little bit of the wood, so you get that nice and clean. And then you're going to take your washer and you're going to stick it on, followed by the nut. Okay, and then let me grab the other washer and nut as well. Okay, we'll put the other washer on. We'll put the other nut on. Okay. So now what we need to do is tighten those up. And so what you'll need is the appropriate size Allen key to secure the bolts and a wrench to turn the nuts, or a socket set. You can use either. So what I'll do is we'll start with the top one. I've got the Allen key in it. And I'll just put my wrench on and tighten it up. And I want these to tighten up pretty snug. It's got a washer on it, so it's not going to sink into the wood or anything. You'll be able to tighten these up pretty well. A little bit smaller. There we go. There we go. That's nice and snug. And we'll do the same thing on the other one. So I'll put my Allen key in the other one to secure it, put my wrench on, and round we go. Okay, almost got that tight. So there we go. So these are both now secure. And so I'll flip the carriage back up now. So as you can see, these bolts that we'll send you have the same type of head as the original screws, which means they sit flush inside the hinge, which allows your headrest to come all the way down, right? If the bolts were too high, this would wind up sitting up on a little bit of an angle. So we don't want that. But this now would be almost impossible for this lower section of the hinge to come loose, because it's mechanically secured through the back side of the carriage with a washer. So that should solve your problem. So now the last thing you would have to do is just repeat the process we did at the start by reattaching the carriage board with those 4 bolts. And that should reinforce your headrest and keep it from having any looseness at all.